Welcome back to another episode of Positively Uncensored, your favorite reality TV and interview podcast. It's your host, Leah, and happy Monday. Even if you're not watching, somehow I bet today feels like a Monday to you. Today is Monday, August 18th. The weather has officially dropped below 80 degrees, and I'm happy. It feels like it's in the 70s today in New Jersey. We have a little bit of a breeze, and it just feels absolutely beautiful, which puts me in a good mood to throw on a sweater, put on some shorts, and record everything that I've been missing talking about with you guys. Now, I want to let you know that this is going to be unlike a little bit of my YouTube videos. Some of my YouTube videos, I try to be really succinct and I try to make sure that everything is fast paced and really engaging. But this episode, I want to go back to my roots. I just want to record on things as they pop in my mind. And I just want to have a little bit less of a rigidity with this episode. So if this episode seems like it's off to you, if I'm not looking at the camera as much as I usually do, I wanted to do this episode audio just to completely have free control, but I decided that would leave out my YouTube people. And I'm so grateful to each and every person across all of my platforms. I've officially surpassed 5,000 followers on my YouTube channel. Thank you to each and every one of you who spends time with me. I've officially hit 95,000 followers on my TikTok account. And for me, this is a big deal. I didn't know if I would ever get here in the beginning stages. Part of me thought I would, part of me thought I wouldn't. And I'm just very happy. I'm somebody who I'm not trying to hit a million followers. I would be super happy if 95,000 followers is where I stay. I would be happy if I reach 150,000 followers someday. And if I never grow beyond that, I would still be happy. But I just want to say thank you to every person who engages with my videos, leaves a comment for me, leaves a suggestion of a show that they want me to cover, and really just spends any amount of time in my day. Thank you for liking my videos. Thank you for leaving me reviews. And thank you for always coming back to hear my thoughts. I've also been seeing more and more people like going across the platforms, whether you're finding me on TikTok and commenting that you like having my short form content, or whether you've suddenly found me on my YouTube and my Spotify and you like my long form content, what I want to make sure that everybody knows is when I record content on my TikTok, that's content that is like in support of my podcast. Like everything I post is with hopes that people come to my podcast and that can really be like the landing spot of where I dive into my thoughts. However, I know that it's hard to get people directly to my podcast. So I branched out with my TikTok. And I've had my YouTube have episodes that is the same thing that I post across my podcast channel just to reach more people, include the visuals. I see you. But yeah, I just wanted to give that general reminder. Everything I post, if you know me as Positively Uncensored on TikTok, I'm really bad at self promotion. I'm bad at plugging. It doesn't come across naturally for me. But everything I post is with hopes that you find me across my other channels on YouTube, on Spotify, and we connect in all of those places. So without further ado, we're going to be getting into Love is Blind UK season 2. I'm going to be talking a little bit about Perfect Match. I decided to let myself off the hook with Perfect Match and not really take detailed notes. There's been so much that I've been diving into as far as Love Island goes this season. I've also been busy professionally, like at my regular job, my outside job, LOL, outside of podcasting. So I think I've been watching another show, but I'll get into that more at the end. Okay. Love is Blind UK season 2. I'm glad that this year I didn't do the load of going through the cast because it's something that I used to really enjoy. And then as I've covered more content and tried to keep up with more shows, and even more so to add, as I've been disappointed with how casting has gone and which journeys we've actually seen on the shows, I just feel like it's a waste of my energy. As much as I believe that people whose journeys we don't see deserve their flowers, as much as I always wonder why didn't we get to see their journeys, I'll keep up with those things after once we find out about engagements that we didn't get to see on the show. But I'm glad I didn't do that this season because there's always like 30 some people, okay? And then they only show us 12 people. And the 12 people who we see are not the people who I would usually pick to think whose journeys we would see. Okay. So Love is Blind UK season 2, episode 1 is called Eat, Sleep, Date, Repeat. We meet a couple of characters this season who it's clear that we're going to be following their journeys. We meet Ashley in episode 1. Ashley's a blonde, former military, and she's also in cabin crew. Immediately, right away, she clicks with Billy, who is currently in the military in some capacity. I believe that I don't know. I think he trains people in some capacity. I don't want to be disrespectful. I just don't remember the actual term. But they bond over the fact that Ashley takes annual leave every year for Remembrance Sunday. Um, and the issue that comes up between them is that Billy in the past has dated somebody from cabin crew, and he felt like the two of them were on opposite schedules. This couple, I'm just really not invested in at all. They're white, they're blonde, they're patriotic. If they lived in America, I think that they would love to throw on the red hat and be total MAGA Trumpers. So I'm just really not interested in the things that they're bonding over. That's just me being completely honest. Okay. We do learn that Billy was previously married 5 years ago. He talks about being in the army, both him and his ex-wife, and them sort of growing apart. Respectfully, I don't have a good vibe about Billy or Ashley, and I'll tell you why in a couple of moments as I get later into the episodes. Then we meet Sophie, who's 28 years old, and I described her in my notes as being very sharp, blunt, and sarcastic, who is looking for somebody who makes her laugh. Personally, I found Sophie rather annoying throughout these episodes. Like, I can appreciate the fact that she's aware of why she's single and it being because of her personality, but she describes herself as being gaudy and just like the general way that she conducts herself, I just don't really love. Okay. I'm trying to think of who, I think it was Noor on Love is Blind Habibi, who I absolutely loved. Like she was a princess, she wanted princess treatment. She was able to like roast the guys effortlessly. I liked that personality. I even liked Brittany Wynewski from one of the seasons of Love is Blind, who said that all of her boyfriends were a red flag and she wants somebody to take care of her and provide for her with their money. Like, I can appreciate all of that, but I just don't like Sophie's personality. I just think she comes across very annoying. So don't take that as I don't like somebody who's like looking out for themselves. I do like an independent woman. I do like a woman who like flips the roles and goes after men for specifically what they want, but I don't like her. Okay. Now she connects with Kieran, and initially, their conversation starts off good, but then we figure out that Kieran, who's also white and blonde, they both look very similar. Of course, another couple I'm just not really invested in. We find out that he's really big on physicality, and Sophie is not really returning that. Like, I think Kieran is wanting somebody who's going to have a heavy bit of flirting with them, give him an idea of what to expect in the bedroom. He seems very sexual. He seems like he wants to hear the person across from him sort of detail how they would like basically what they would do in person. Like he likes the dirty talk. He likes the foreplay. He likes to envision it. Do I think that is necessarily compatible with just like meeting somebody right off the bat? No. Okay. But he definitely has a better connection with Megan, who's a dancer, fitness instructor, and sort of matches his freak, if you will. I will also say that Megan is a lot more vulnerable with his emotions, and she's letting him know that she's interested. She's this redhead who has just like a pretty bold personality. She wrote a poem about him. She's very sweet, and I think that that's what he's wanting versus Sophie, who has her guard up and sort of plays very aloof in situations. I have a feeling that I'm not going to like Kieran because, quite frankly, him and another guy come across very much like Shake from a prior season, who care mostly about physicality and how much a girl weighs. I just don't have a good vibe about Kieran, but I am liking Megan so far. Megan is a redhead, so I'm going to compare her to Molly from the most recent season of Love is Blind, USA. But yeah, and coincidentally Molly was also a dancer. So yeah, she's sort of reminding me of Molly, who I also liked. Megan said that she usually has difficulty keeping relationships because she is always traveling. She also wants to have one kid and adopt. Kieran seemingly is open to this. And when she gets back to the room, she ends up talking up her chat with Kieran and says that she thinks she just met her husband, which ends up upsetting Sophie. I think that Sophie's response to this conversation is part of what makes me start to have my initial dislike for Sophie because she just comes across like a mean girl. Like, it's like this whole experience is about connecting with someone. How is she supposed to know that that's who you're connecting with? Also, I think Sophie came back and said, I just met my husband. I just met my husband. So it's like, why can you say it, but she can't? The next couple we get into, there's just so much to say. We meet Patrick, who's 35, a London boy, and he describes himself as being very spiritual and following his spleen. Patrick is another guy who will go in Love is Blind history as being very cringe. I've heard people make the comparisons, which I'm glad because I had written in my notes. He reminds me of Ola from Love is Blind Switzerland. If you're unfamiliar with Ola, Ola was quite literally a cult leader that they brought on the show, who ended up coupling up and proposing to an independent woman with a pixie cut, who loved to drink soda and loved to just enjoy like the finer things in life simultaneously, this like art. Okay. And initially they really bonded with each other. And then he met her, tore down her confidence, degraded her pixie cut, said that he wanted someone with long hair, said that it's important for him to be able to run his hands through his partner's hair. And then we also find out that he doesn't drink soda, hates that she drinks coffee, hates that she drinks alcohol, judged her for watching reality TV. And the woman who he brought on the show as a friend was a cult leader, a literal cult leader who was part of a cult. That's what Patrick reminds me of. I've never heard of human design therapist or whatever he calls himself, human design coach, but it sounds weird. It sounds very weird. I know that that's me being judgmental and not picking like a very sophisticated word, but what? You follow your spleen? Gretchen. Or I'm sorry. Yeah, no, Gretchen, quit trying to make fetch happen. Okay? Patrick, quit trying to make spleen happen. It's follow your gut. No one's going to switch to spleen. Okay? It's just not going to happen. You're not cool and quirky because you and your cult can't say trust your gut. Like, trust your spleen. I listen to my spleen. He says that the entire time. Initially, I had written in my notes that despite his stuff about his spleen, I liked how honest he was and the conversation skills and connection that he was having with Anu. This takes a hard left in later episodes. I literally have it written here. He's a little too unconventional. Okay. Now, Anu's better than me though, because she enjoyed how they chatted and she was taking notes on his beliefs. Like, despite her, not necessarily turning to her spleen for guidance and more so being like spiritual and praying to God and being a Christian, she was interested in what he had to say. And again, I said, she's better than me because I found him like, okay, this is in one ear, out the other. Get him out of here. If I'm going to trust my spleen, I don't want to finish this conversation. Okay. Love is Blind UK is interesting though. I have this noted and I talked about this a little on my TikTok. I noticed that this season of Love is Blind UK, they both they did two things, right? Like they had like outright conversations about potential hangups that could come up in the relationship. Like Anu asked Patrick outright, "Is my Christianity a problem?" Later there's a couple who gets together who I'll hit on in a few moments who's Pakistani and Indian, and they have a conversation like, is your family going to be okay with you dating a Pakistani boy? And then she asked the same thing back to him. And then they're also just giving away a lot more about their looks and their background than they do on Love is Blind USA. I don't know if that's a difference in direction from production or if that's more so like a personal choice of the contestants who like to be more open and get an idea of who they're picking. But I don't, in some aspects, I do like it because it's more similar to actual dating. And in some aspects, I don't. Like, I do think that, like, this is more like I've said, I made this joke on my TikTok. This feels like Love is informed. Like, this isn't Love is Blind. Like, this is like Love is Informed. Love has a pretty good guess of who you're going to be picking at the end. It also just seems like the guys, and this is why I mostly dislike it, the guys have more leeway to ask direct questions or questions that the girls answer that ends up giving away things of like their physical description. Again, guys like Shake who are on the show and wanting to know how much a girl weighs, and to try to picture them. Like, there's just lots of comments of like, I don't want someone to pick me like because of my looks. Like, I've had a problem with that in the past. And like, we have heard a Love is Blind USA contestant say that before. It's Sarover's conversation with, I think his name is Kal. Okay. Yeah, it's Kal. Okay. So initially, I like their conversation, but he basically asks her a question of like, what is her morning routine like? What is her routine like? And what he wanted to know is like if she went to the gym. That's what he wanted to know. Okay. And when she answers and says that she starts the day by going to the gym and then getting into the sauna, this is something that he wrote down as like a very big point for them. And then when you see what Cal looks like, you see that he's probably very vain and also very particular about whom he's picking. Talk more about Love is Blind UK getting into the hangups further in the episode, just because I don't want to skip over too much and give my initial thoughts as they came up. Okay. So Cal and Sarover, initially, I liked their connection. Okay. She has a good sense of humor. I love her standards. She's also stunning. I like how the two of them talk about what life would look like together. And he talks about how he wants to provide, but he's also open to being a power couple because when he heard that she's very confident in her career and like feels very accomplished because of her career, it's important to her, like he was open to that, like he was excited about that. Now the part that I had side-eyed that I just talked about is Cal gives off energy like he might be like Shake. And when he wanted to talk to her about like what her like day looks like and stuff, I just feel like he was trying to set up like what does her routine look like and is she working out? Because when she disclosed that she likes to start her day with a hit workout and then go into the sauna, like he was very interested in this. And this is also what I mean about um them just like giving away more information like before the season. I don't know if it's more important to the USA contestants themselves to have their partner truly not know what they look like, or if production just allows for different things on different shows. But I don't like that. Like, I don't like that aspect. I don't like that they get to know so much. I don't think I think that that's really impacting people's decisions, and I think that they're like putting the wrong things as like their top thing of importance. Okay. Now we go back to Billy, who, if you remember, I said is coupled up with the blonde girl Ashley, who I thought would join MAGA. And he talks about how he has a Michael Bublé sheet music tattoo. Ew. Ew. Okay. And this is another couple, like Kieran and Billy, the two blonde white boys, both of them are very sexual, borderline like overly sexual. They talk a lot about cuddling, spiciness. They also talk about wanting to go to a country concert, which turns into Ashley talking about how she would be turned on by the thought of a good square dance and watching her husband out there. I mean, I don't want to yuck anybody's yum, but okay. Billy also claims in one of his confessionals early on that he's falling for her day by day. I wrote in my notes, Billy gives love bomber because he does. Okay. Again, the very next note, Kieran and Megan talk through their turn-ons and intimacy. He tries to have the same conversation with what is her name? With Sophie, who shuts it down. Sophie's not about it. She's like, listen, all I'll tell you is you won't be disappointed. Now we meet Barda and Jed, and they're probably my favorite couple at this point in the show. She made Lebanese food for him, um, and she also created a word search for him, which was just very sweet. She talks about how her family is Muslim, his family is as well. And so at the beginning, I like them as a couple as well. I don't know how I feel as I watch them as the show progresses, but initially I really liked them. Season 2, episode 3. All of a sudden I jumped forward, took no notes on episode 2. My notes are all over the place. Like, let's just give the warning of that. Okay, season 2, episode 3 is when I start talking about Demila and Katisha. And I hope I'm pronouncing both of those names correctly. There's only been a few short batch of episodes, so I'll come back and correct myself if I'm wrong. Demel is my favorite character in the show. He's very sweet, calm, thoughtful, communicative. Like, I just love how he uplifts Katisha when he's talking to her. This has to be one of the most frustrating plot points in Love is Blind. Also, to point out, just in case you can see it, I have on several pimple patches right now because this episode, we're relaxed. Okay, we're relaxed, we're comfortable. So Demla tells Katisha how he's envisioning a future with them, and he's all about her. So if it's not her, he's not gonna stop. There ends up being like a competition. I'm jumping ahead, okay? There ends up being a competition between Javen and Demla, who are both interested in Katisha. There's Demla, who is very communicative, soft, affectionate, affirmative with how he feels about her, willing to fall on his sword and just take being the person who's not chosen if that's what happens at the end of this. Whereas Javen is more guarded. She was waiting for Javen to be more outright with the fact that he is interested in her and how he feels about her. And he keeps that closer to the vest. Personally, I think Javen was not well matched with Katisha at all. Okay. So she walks in, fast forwarding. She's between the two of them. Eventually, she has a conversation with Demila. She ends up saying that, okay, I pick you. You're who I want to be with. I'm not getting this level of validation from Javen. And then she meets up with Javen to tell him her choice of picking Demila, walks into a bouquet of flowers. He reads her the notes that he had about her, and she leaves changing her mind. This is someone who applied no pressure in the beginning and wasn't confident about her picking him. And then all of a sudden, in the last, was picked. This is also a situation where Katisha said that Javen sort of reminds her of the people that she's used to dating. And I'm like, pick something different. This is Love is Blind. So, like I said, Megan is way more open with Kieran. Moving along. She has a date with him and reads him a poem and ends up saying, I love you. You're my person. Kieran proposes to her right after this, and Megan accepts. Okay. Sophie ends up being left in the dust. Now, Anu wrote a song for Patrick, whom had been asking her to sing in the last episode that I ended up skipping. He asked her to sing. She sort of felt pressured at the time, so she didn't want to sing yet, but she wrote him a song, had put time into it. We saw her practicing, and she told him that she wrote him a song. And she wants to take the next step and tell him how she feels. His response, and so she's like, do you mind if I sang a cheeky song to you? Can I sing a cheeky song to you? And he's like, question, why would you not sing when I initially asked you to? And it's like, because you put her on the spot? I don't know, like just guessing because you put her on the spot. And instead of letting her sing her cheeky song, he had prior told her as well. He didn't like the fact that she's not confident enough in herself. Like, he doesn't want her to be humble. She described herself as being humble, and he doesn't want her to be humble. He said, I actually hate that quality when she said that. So he ends up not allowing her to sing that song and says, I think that you should sing a song of somebody who's worthy singing a song for, and that he's going to trust his spleen. I'm breaking up with you. What is happening? You know who would have let Anu sing that song? Demila. Demila would have let her sing that song. Why didn't we see them talking in the pods is beyond me. Patrick Star, go back under your rock. Is this Love is Blind? No, this is Patrick. I don't know. You're so weird. And her song was beautiful, by the way. Okay? Episode 4, I wrote in my notes, hi, I'm Patrick. Good thing that Patrick has splenic awareness. He says that he's very in tune with his spleen, that he has splenic awareness. What he lacks is self-awareness. He lacks self-awareness. He lacks awareness for others. Like, read the room, Patrick. Okay? Human design coach. Where's that? Where's the verification process to prove that Patrick is not AI? If you've heard about human design coach, please put so in the comments. So Patrick goes back to the quarters with the men and tells them that he believes that Anu was expecting a proposal and that wrote him a song. I'm like, why are you rubbing salt in the wound? Like, why are you trying to make her seem like she was more invested than you? Okay. So, anyways, Demila and Anu need to connect. Okay. Now, Barda and Jed, they end up getting engaged. They both have to have children. They have a lot in common. They get engaged. This seems like it would be a very traditional relationship. And I don't know that Barda's as traditional as some of the things that she wants. Like, I think you can be both wanting a husband to provide for you, as well as wanting to maintain your own sense of independence. And I guess that we will see what happened there. Now, Kieran meets up with Jessica and Jessica, or Megan, sorry. And Megan looks like Jessica Rabbit. That's where I got that confused. She looks beautiful. And he's like, I had zero idea that Megan would look like this. And it's like, well, she told you she was a dancer and a fitness coach. So you had a pretty good idea that she would be a bombshell. Don't lie. Okay. Katisha picks Javen and they get engaged. How many frustrating shows am I going to watch? Is this show enjoyable? Yes. Is it so frustrating? Yes. Like, I want to refuse to watch because Katisha picks Javen. Like, I'm just confused. Okay. Now, all of the couples get like all meet each other and then they go on a retreat. I always like think I've decided that I definitely think that Love is Blind needs to change the order of the show. I get that they're trying to introduce temptation to the other couples and have them meet people they talk to in the pods and be like, oh my God, like, are they going to bite? All this stuff. They need to change it. It needs to be going from the pods to living together and then a honeymoon for the couples that are still together. And then that last minute introduction of temptation. Like, only the couples who stay together should go on the retreat. It would way more parallel real life if they went back, and we would still get drama, by the way, if they went back to live in their apartments. I'm tired of seeing them go on what feels like a honeymoon before they've even decided if they're going to walk down the aisle or not. That should be at the end. That should be at the end. Okay. Ashley and Billy meet each other. They're like, oh my God, like, you're white and you're blonde, and like they're in heaven. Okay, going forward to when all the couples are meeting, Cal mentions that Barda is usually his type, not Sarover. And that's why I side eyed him. That's why I side eyed him because you seem like Shake. Mind you, Barda has blonde hair, okay, and fair skin. And Sarover is a beautiful Indian girl. Okay. So I just don't like his comments. Okay. And Barda is sharing to the group. They're having like the girls are having a chat. Barda shares that she said I love you. Okay. And Ashley says, like, I did too. And Katisha said that she wants to be intentional when she says, I love you. So she hasn't said that yet. And Ashley talks about how everybody should just be open and vulnerable and like lean into this experience. And it felt like she was judging Katisha and she was also judging Sarover. And I don't like Ashley. Like, this feels like a microaggression. Like, why are you inserting your opinion and telling um two women of color what to do? Like, why are you in it, like, imposing your assumption on their relationship? Like, it felt weird that when Katisha walked away, Ashley took a moment to talk about her when she left and be like, I think Katisha, like, I think she's kind of weird for that. That's basically what I read of the situation. Okay. And then you don't understand why Sarover's unable to drop her guard because you have no idea if she's seeing these glances between Cal And between like looking over at Barda, like you have no idea how she's feeling, if he said anything, and if there's any reason as to why she's unable to drop her guard and just be fully vulnerable. You also wouldn't be the person who would pick up the pieces if she did just completely drop her guard, completely lean in, say I love you the first day, and then get hurt. It's also like you said I love you the first day. I don't think you should be teaching a class on what to do in situations. Moving along, that's the first 4 episodes of Love is Blind. Moving along to Perfect Match. I was so excited for AD prior to Perfect Match. I was like, oh my God, her and Ollie. I loved him on Love is Blind, or at least liked him on Love is Blind. I thought that they were a cute couple. I thought we get to see her love story. That's not what happened at all. Like, I'm going to choose my words very intentionally when I talk about Ollie, because I want to be conscious of the fact that I'm always a white woman who's giving discourse on a black man's behavior. So all I'll say about Ollie is that I don't like the way that he reacts to situations with AD. And I think that it's very telling that they had so many arguments very early on in their relationship. I also think that he, as he described himself, is very jealous. And I think that that's something that could be an issue for AD in the future. And I don't want to make the assumption that I hate to see her in this position, but I'm definitely like saying a prayer for her. Okay, because I don't see how this relationship could be completely healthy when allegedly Ollie got a good edit on Love is Blind. And we not only saw multiple lapses in character with how he argued with AD, but also just how he talked about women in general and the way that he moves in terms of prioritizing the feelings of the guys over AD, at least to the guys. He said, if AD snitches, I'm not matching with her. It's like, well, then how important was your connection? They don't win Perfect Match. Daniel, more concerning. Daniel, okay, and Lucy win. Like Daniel's scary. Daniel's just straight up scary. He's explosive, he's scary, he's intimidating. He's also controlling, but like possessive, jealous, confrontational. Like he uses his height and size in a conversation with women and doesn't do it to men. And he tries to put on a mask like around people because he's even more toxic privately, like when he yelled at Lucy in the shower. He's also enemy number one. Op is in the building. The way that he allowed the other guys to talk about how another woman is way sexier than Lucy, the girl he was coupled up with, and just how he had no shame and no regard for the relationship when he would punch a hole in the wall if Lucy did that. I can't stand Daniel. And then there's Carrington, who in my mind gets let off the hook way too much. Like he's just like he's just a young white guy. Like he's just like, he's just like a fratty guy. Like he's just like, unserious. No, he hates women. He's in competition with women. He was toxic. He's misogynistic. He's fake. I don't like him. I don't like him. Like I don't even like Juliet. I had so many criticisms about Juliet, but the fact that he went to Scott to try to tank that relationship because he got rejected by Juliet tells me a lot. He's like that guy who would slam his phone down on the concrete with the no head gif. That's Carrington. I don't like him. Okay. I think I left the season liking Justine the most. Ray and Rachel, a lot of people thought that maybe Ray was going to be the father of Hannah's child. The person ends up not even being from Perfect Match. I'm like, Hannah, no offense, like, but respectfully, you could have kept quiet. Like the guy that you're with, you led us to believe was from Perfect Match, and it's fucked up that they didn't show your love story and had chose to especially all the shade that she threw at AD, where it was sort of like, and she claims it wasn't shade, but implying that they chose to show AD's story over yours when you don't have a story to be shared that happened on Perfect Match for us to watch, and they do. Like, It makes sense. Like, it makes sense. Hello, this is like propaganda. This is like the perfect propaganda for the Love is Blind to Perfect Match pipeline. Nick Lachey is going to take as much credit for this as he possibly can. And he said so on AD's podcast. What's the reality? So, anyways, I just feel like a lot of shows are disappointing me. I saw icon, legend, winner Taylor Hale in my comment suggesting that I watch Big Brother, and I think I'm going to listen to her. And I think that to help me more understand Big Brother, because I haven't watched many seasons at all, I think I'm going to try to have Taylor on for an episode so that we can talk about this season and I can run some things by her as someone who's new to the gameplay aspect, all the challenges, whatever. Okay. So be on the lookout for that. That's my opinion. I'm glad Perfect Match is over. The show that should have never been released. You might as well just kept it. We knew what was going to happen. We don't care. Louis obviously wasn't going to stay with Sandy. He's with Huda right now. And then we know he's going to go on another show. Like, it was all just a joke. I think the timing of Netflix shows need a lot of work. And I think that they need to find a different way to have the audience feel connected to the show. Because right now, I don't feel like we have any. I don't feel like we have any reason to be dialed in. One show that I'd like to recommend that's been giving me a lot of interest that has nothing to do with reality TV is The Institute on Amazon Prime. I believe you might have to do an MGM trial to watch the show, so you might want to wait until all of the episodes are out. Next week may be the last episode. I know this season's ending is going to piss me off, especially if it doesn't get renewed, but it's from the creators and producers of From, which you can tell even with the intro song that they picked for the show, and the acting is incredible. The acting is absolutely incredible. If there's a show that I would like to interview the cast from that's a scripted show, it's that in Paradise. And also, I had been telling all of you guys about Animal Kingdom, which went like viral recently on Netflix. That show is good and it had me hooked. Everybody have an amazing rest of your Monday. If you haven't, make sure to subscribe to the podcast, turn on your notifications on YouTube. Let me know what you would like to see me talk about next. Love Island reunion is coming up. It's in exactly a week from today. It's on the 25th. I think I'm going to be planning to go live. Whether I decide to go live on YouTube or on TikTok, I will certainly let everybody know. I think YouTube, the chat is just easier for me to keep up with, respectfully. I know I have a much larger following on TikTok, but maybe this will be the opportunity to bring some of y'all over that are just like sort of tuning in occasionally. Let me know what you think in the comments and have an amazing day.